Close your eyes and remember the summer sun beating down, the smell of freshly cut grass, the sound of children's laughter echoing through the neighborhood. A time when be home before dark was the only rule, and toys weren't wrapped in warning labels. They were wrapped in pure, unbridled adventure. What if I told you that the toys we loved, the ones that filled our childhood with excitement and wonder, were actually ticking time bombs of potential disaster? Toys that could burn, explode, launch projectiles, or expose us to radiation. This isn't just a trip down memory lane. This is a survival guide to the most dangerous toys ever created. Playthings so wild, you'll wonder how any of us made it to adulthood. Buckle up, we're about to revisit the most dangerous playground in history. Remember the pure joy of creating your own rubber monsters. The Creepy Crawlers kit was every kid's dream until you realized you were essentially operating a miniature foundry in your bedroom. This toy required melting plastic goop on a hot plate that reached over 300 degrees Fahrenheit. Burns were practically a rite of passage with Creepy Crawlers. We'd carefully pour the liquid plastic into metal molds, trying not to sear our fingertips in the process. The result? Squishy, realistic-looking bugs that we'd proudly display or use to terrorize younger siblings. Despite the obvious dangers, there was something magical about creating your own toys. Those little rubber creatures would stick to everything: walls, car seats, and occasionally unsuspecting family members. But Creepy Crawlers were just the beginning of our dangerous toy adventures. Believe it or not, you could actually buy your child a kit containing real radioactive materials. The Gilbert U-238 Atomic Energy Lab wasn't just playing with science, it was playing with uranium. This educational toy included actual radioactive ore samples, a Geiger counter, and instructions for conducting nuclear experiments. Marketed as the ultimate science kit, it promised to teach kids about atomic energy through hands-on experimentation. Parents bought these thinking they were encouraging future scientists, not realizing they were essentially giving their children radioactive materials to play with in the basement. The kit came with a manual that casually mentioned the radioactive nature of the materials, as if that was just another fun feature. Today, this toy would probably require a hazmat team for disposal. From nuclear science to backyard warfare, the 60s had it all. Lawn darts were the ultimate backyard game. If your idea of fun involved hurling weighted metal spears through the air, these weren't your average darts. They were heavy, sharp-tipped projectiles designed to stick into the ground with satisfying thuds. The concept was simple: toss these metal-tipped missiles toward plastic rings and hope nobody wandered into the flight path. When thrown correctly, they'd embed themselves in the lawn. When thrown incorrectly, they became airborne weapons capable of causing serious injury. Despite the obvious dangers, no backyard barbecue was complete without a round of lawn darts. Kids would beg adults to let them participate, and somehow, most of us survived the experience with only minor scrapes and bruises. Ever had a close call with lawn darts? Share your most dangerous backyard game story. Speaking of creative ways to melt plastic, our next toy was an inventor's dream. The Vac-U-Form was every budding inventor's fantasy, a machine that let you create your own plastic toys by melting sheets of plastic over heated molds. This wasn't just playing with toys, this was manufacturing them in your own bedroom. The process involved heating plastic sheets until they were pliable, then using vacuum suction to form them over molds. The result was custom-made cars, planes, or whatever your imagination could create. The downside: hot plastic, dangerous fumes, and the occasional melted mess. Burns were common, and the fumes probably weren't doing our developing lungs any favors, but the thrill of creating something from scratch made every minor injury worth it. Those little plastic creations felt like genuine masterpieces. From indoor manufacturing to outdoor mayhem, summer had its own special dangers. The slip and slide promised the ultimate summer experience, a backyard water slide that could turn any lawn into an aquatic adventure. The concept was brilliantly simple: lay down a long plastic sheet, add water, and take running leaps onto the slippery surface. What could go wrong? Well, quite a bit actually. The slide often ended abruptly, sending kids tumbling onto rough grass or hard ground. Rocks, sticks, and other yard debris would tear the plastic, creating unexpected obstacles that could cause cuts and scrapes. Despite the bruises and grass stains, the slip and slide represented pure summer joy. The thrill of running full speed and launching yourself onto that slippery surface was worth every bump and scrape. It was the ultimate backyard rush. Indoor fun could be just as hazardous, especially in the kitchen. The Easy Bake Oven was every aspiring chef's dream, a real working oven that could bake actual treats. Powered by a 100-watt light bulb, this miniature appliance could reach temperatures hot enough to actually cook food and burn little fingers. The metal surfaces got seriously hot, and more than a few kids learned the hard way that touching the oven's interior could lead to painful burns. The tiny cakes and cookies were delicious, but they came with a side of genuine danger. Despite the risks, the joy of baking your own miniature treats was irresistible. We'd carefully watch those tiny cakes bake, hoping they wouldn't burn while trying not to burn ourselves in the process. If you're enjoying this dangerous trip down memory lane, subscribe to Vintage America Tales. We're preserving the wild stories of American childhood. Clackers were deceptively simple, two hard acrylic balls connected by string that you'd swing up and down to create a loud clacking sound. The goal was to get them moving fast enough to clack together both above and below your hand. The danger came when the acrylic balls inevitably shattered from repeated impacts, sending sharp plastic fragments flying in all directions. Even when they didn't break, a missed swing could result in bruised knuckles or a painful whack to the head. Parents would warn us about the dangers, but the satisfying sound and the challenge of mastering the rhythm kept us playing anyway. Clackers were eventually banned in many places due to the injury risk. From noisemakers to actual weapons, some toys blurred the line between play and warfare. The Johnny Reb cannon was every kid's dream of battlefield glory, a miniature working cannon that fired plastic cannonballs with surprising force. This wasn't just pretend warfare, this was actual projectile launching in your own backyard. The cannon used a spring-loaded mechanism to fire plastic balls that could travel impressive distances and pack a real punch. Getting hit by one of these projectiles was no joke, especially if it caught you in the face or other sensitive areas. Despite the obvious dangers, the thrill of having your own artillery piece was irresistible. The sound it made when firing and the satisfaction of hitting targets made every stray shot worth dodging. Water toys brought their own unique brand of chaos to summer play. The water wiggle was essentially a hose attachment with a mind of its own, a wiggling, unpredictable nozzle that sprayed water in every direction while thrashing around like a mechanical snake. Kids loved chasing this erratic water dispenser around the yard. The problem was that the aluminum nozzle was heavy and completely unpredictable. It could whip around and smack you in the face, tangle you up in its hose, or deliver a surprisingly painful blow to unsuspecting players. Getting sprayed in the face by surprise was part of the fun, but getting whacked by the metal nozzle definitely wasn't. Still, the chaotic nature of the water wiggle made it irresistible for backyard water games. Some toys promised magic, but delivered potential poisoning instead. This wasn't your ordinary bubble solution. Super elastic bubble plastic came in tubes and promised to create enormous, long-lasting bubbles that were more like plastic balloons than soap bubbles. The results were genuinely impressive, colorful bubbles that could last for hours. The downside? The plastic solution contained chemicals that produced strong fumes. Kids would get lightheaded from inhaling the vapors, but we didn't think much of it back then. We just loved making those giant, colorful bubbles. The chemical smell should have been a warning sign, but the magic of creating enormous bubbles kept us coming back for more, dizzy spells and all. Head-based toys brought their own special brand of discomfort. The swing wing was like a hula hoop for your head, a headband with a weighted ball that you'd swing around by moving your head back and forth. The goal was to keep the ball spinning while maintaining your balance and avoiding dizziness. This toy was guaranteed to leave you feeling dizzy and often resulted in sore necks from all the head movement. Some kids would get so dizzy they'd have to sit down, but the silliness of the concept made it irresistible. The swing wing perfectly captured the 60s spirit of turning any body part into a toy, regardless of the physical consequences. Chemistry sets took the concept of dangerous play to a whole new level. Back in the day, chemistry sets contained actual dangerous chemicals that could produce real explosions, burns, or toxic fumes. These weren't watered-down educational toys. They were legitimate chemistry labs for children. Kids could create small explosions, produce colorful flames, and mix chemicals that would be considered hazardous materials today. Burns and stains were common, but every budding scientist felt like they were on the verge of a major discovery. The thrill of conducting real experiments with genuine chemicals made every minor accident seem worth it. These sets represented the ultimate in hands-on learning, even if that learning occasionally involved emergency room visits. Did any of your science experiments go wrong? Projectile toys reached new heights of creativity and danger. Sky dancers were dolls with spinning wings that could launch high into the air when you pulled a ripcord. Watching them soar was genuinely magical until they inevitably veered off course and crashed into bystanders, trees, or windows. The spinning wings were the main attraction, and the primary danger: they could easily hit people in the face or get tangled in hair. Many sky dancers ended up stuck in trees or on rooftops, never to dance again. Despite the unpredictable flight patterns, the magic of watching these dolls soar through the air kept kids launching them over and over again. Air-powered weapons brought superhero fantasies to dangerous life. The air blaster was a plastic gun that shot powerful blasts of compressed air strong enough to knock over cups, blow out candles, or sting if aimed too close to someone's face. It felt like having actual superpowers. Kids loved pretending they had magical abilities, challenging each other to air battles and seeing what they could knock over from across the room. The invisible projectile made it feel like real magic. While not as obviously dangerous as other toys, the air blaster could deliver a surprising sting if used improperly, and the temptation to aim it at people was almost irresistible. Inflatable toys brought their own brand of unpredictable chaos. Bop bags were inflatable punching bags with weighted bottoms that would pop back up no matter how hard you hit them. They seemed like the perfect way to burn off energy and practice your boxing skills. The problem came when the bag's rebound caught you off guard, knocking you over or delivering an unexpected counterpunch. The weighted bottom made these rebounds surprisingly forceful. Despite the occasional knockdown, bop bags were irresistible. There was something deeply satisfying about punching something that would immediately bounce back for more. Which of these dangerous toys do you remember from your own childhood? Share your craziest stories in the comments. Similar to creepy crawlers, Thingmaker kits used hot metal molds and plastic goop to create rubber toys. The molds got extremely hot enough to cause serious burns if you weren't careful about handling them. The process involved heating the molds, pouring in the liquid plastic, and waiting for it to cool. Impatient kids often burned their fingers trying to remove creations too quickly. Despite the burn risk, there was something magical about creating your own toys from scratch. Those homemade rubber creations felt more special than anything you could buy in a store. Toy guns brought Wild West fantasies to suburban backyards. These realistic-looking toy guns used paper caps that created loud pops and small flashes when fired. The caps could get hot enough to cause minor burns, and the realistic appearance sometimes caused confusion. The smell of fired caps and the satisfying pop of each shot made kids feel like real cowboys. The caps would sometimes stick to your fingers or leave small burns, but that was just part of the authentic experience. Many kids felt like genuine gunslingers with a Fanner 50 in hand, despite the occasional singed fingertip. Mechanical toys brought their own brand of startling surprises. This mechanical monkey with clashing cymbals was more startling than dangerous, but its unpredictable movements and loud crashes could genuinely frighten younger children. The wind-up mechanism sometimes malfunctioned, making the chimp's behavior even more erratic. While not physically dangerous, the Jolly Chimp's sudden movements and loud noises made it a memorable and sometimes traumatic toy experience. Bouncing toys tested both balance and pain tolerance. This giant inflatable ball with a handle let kids bounce around the yard like human kangaroos. The thrill was in trying not to fall off, but falling was inevitable and often painful. Tumbles were part of the experience, and kids would often feel sore the next day from all the bouncing and falling. Despite the bruises, the joy of bouncing around was impossible to resist. Fortune-telling toys brought mystery and occasional mess. While not traditionally dangerous, the Magic 8-Ball could crack open, spilling its mysterious dark liquid everywhere. That liquid was probably not something you wanted to touch or inhale. Kids treated these toys like mystical oracles, asking silly questions and waiting for floating answers. The magic was real until the ball cracked and reality set in. Looking back at these dangerous toys of the 1960s, it's amazing any of us survived our childhoods. These weren't defective products. They were designed this way, reflecting an era when adventure came first and safety came second. Maybe it was the thrill of a little danger, or maybe toys were just built differently back then. Either way, these risky playthings gave us memories that last a lifetime, along with a few scars to prove it. Which of these dangerous toys do you remember most? Share your survival stories in the comments below and tag or share this video with a friend who survived these crazy toys too. If you loved this dangerous journey through toy history, subscribe to Vintage America Tales, where preserving the wild, wonderful, and sometimes terrifying stories of American childhood. Here's to the toys that taught us resilience, one minor injury at a time.